Welcome to The Profitable Web Designer, a podcast for web designers who want to work less and make more money. I'm your host, Shannon Mattern, founder of the Web Designer Academy, where we've helped hundreds of web designers stop undercharging, overworking, and create profitable, sustainable web design businesses. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Profitable Web Designer podcast. This is my monthly income report for May of 2025. As always, I am joined by my sidekick and partner in crime, Erica Nash. She's our client success coordinator at the Web Designer Academy. Erica, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to dig into this month's episode.
So many things happened in May. It didn't feel like a busy month or anything like that, but I feel like it was like a pivotal month in the journey. So for those of you who might be new to the show, our company is called the Web Designer Academy, where we help women web designers package, price, and sell, market, project manage profitable, sustainable web design projects, run profitable, sustainable web design businesses. And every month, I take you behind the scenes of our business and share all of our numbers and all of the things that happened that month and the lessons learned along the way. We dive into like how much we made, how much we spent, what went the way we wanted it to go, maybe what didn't go the way we wanted it to go. And yeah, we hear from all of you that they're your favorite episodes. So I'm glad because they're my favorite episodes.
Right. I love the way that you said things that went the way we wanted them to, or not the way that we wanted them to, rather than things that went right and went wrong. Like, I think that that's really important language and the way that we think about things.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a non-natural way of thinking for me. It's very intentional, like to pay attention to how I think about things because our feelings drive our actions, create our results. And one of the things that I uncovered in February at a retreat that I went to with my biz bestie and mindset coach, Alicia St. Germain, she hosted a retreat, was that I put a lot of emphasis on making the right decisions, making the right choices, doing the right things, trying to prevent doing the wrong things. And how can we know? Like I cannot predict the future. I can just make the best choice with the information that I have and then make the next choice and the next choice and the next choice. So that's something that I'm really working on unwinding for myself is how I think about like the actions that I take and the decisions that I make. So
that's good stuff.
Yeah. My brain is just like, trying like catching those little things all the time. So, and I coach our Web Designer Academy students on it all the time about the inaction or overaction that happens as a result of thinking that there are right and wrong decisions, which is, what do they say? That you teach what you need to learn? Like, it's so easy for me to spot it in someone else.
Yeah. It's funny though, because the other day I was doing something on ChatGPT and I was catching how it was saying things like right and wrong. And I was noticing that and I was like, oh, growth in myself.
So yeah, ChatGPT has been my little thought partner a lot lately for some of the things that we're working on. And it is funny because it's kind of like a little echo chamber. And I'm like, oh, you're saying that to me that way because I say that, or I've given you that language. And so that's kind of interesting too, for me to notice how it feeds me back information. I'm like, okay, noted. This is interesting.
Yeah. Little flag.
Yeah. So you ready to dive into May's
Let's do it.
numbers? All right. I'll hand it over to you to ask me all the questions.
All right. So how much was the total inflow for May 2025 and where did it come from?
So our inflow in May was $24,829.47. And that came from new enrollments, payment plans. At the end of April, I hosted an event, like an open enrollment event for our Next Level Mastermind. And what you've heard us talk about that in previous income reports. And we had 3 new people join our Next Level Mastermind. They actually came in as renewals from our Web Designer Academy program. So they've been in the Web Designer Academy for a year, decided that they wanted to continue that journey and move into our Next Level Mastermind room. So we got to welcome 3 amazing women into our Next Level Mastermind. So part of that revenue was from those renewals. I think we also added 3 new members to the Web Designer Academy in May, 2 or 3. It's hard for me to remember, like, did people come right at the end of April or whatever, but we added 3 new Web Designer Academy members. And then the rest, we hosted a Get Your Next Client Challenge masterclass to introduce people to our Marketing Momentum membership. So that was like a very small price, $27 masterclass. I think that added about $1,000 of revenue to our inflow. And then we added a handful of new Marketing Momentum members as a result of that. So yeah, the $24,000 was payment plans for all of our programs, subscriptions for all of our programs, some new enrollments, some new things that we tried. And I was invited to participate in Pate Pro's like content library, and I got paid to make a training for that. I probably received some affiliate commissions for some summits I've participated in. So just lots of little pieces of income that came together to create that almost $25,000 in revenue in May.
Amazing. I love it. I know that this is the first time that you have done the paid Get Your Next Client workshop. Do you feel like that's something you'll continue to do? I know that was a bit of an experiment.
Yeah. So the first time we decided to launch the Marketing Momentum membership back in January, we did it with a free 5-day challenge. And I loved doing it that way. It was super fun. And it also gave me the space I needed to kind of like adapt and create the curriculum and the content for that challenge based on what people were asking and all of that stuff. And we did the challenge with like implementation and having people take action during the training. And then a 5-day challenge is a significant chunk of our promotional calendar, right? And of our just day-to-day operations to run a challenge for 5 days. And I hear from my friends, everybody I know, that like May is a crazy town month for people who have children or work in the education space, because like it's year end of school and everything is there's so many things happening in May. And so I didn't want to ask people to make a 5-day long commitment. I felt that like I could condense a lot of that 5-day challenge down into a 90-minute masterclass where I'm going to teach you everything that we taught in the 5-day challenge in like a 90-day container, give you a workbook, answer questions, and you could be on your way. And the reason that I wanted to test out a small price attached to that is just we do so much free stuff. And I love the free stuff that we do. And I feel like it's not always true. So I can't say this blanketly, but there's better engagement. What I ultimately want is people taking action. I really want them to be committed. And $27, like, big deal, right? That's not that much money. That's somebody's like weekly coffee bill at Starbucks, right? Like, it's really not a huge commitment, but just it's like a decision. Like, do I value taking these actions enough to like actually take the extra step to pay for it. And then if that's the case, then I know that the people who are there and coming to this and participating or watching on the replay, I'm a replay girl. Like, I never go to anything I register for or purchase live just because I have a schedule. Like, I've got things going on, but I always listen to the replay. And I'm curious if then those people are like more committed and then would find value in our Marketing Momentum membership program. And so also I'm like, if I'm gonna spend my time doing this and putting this together, I'll make $1,000 from that. Like, why not? You know, it's like,
yeah.
And I'll do free things again. I'll do more challenges. We have so much free stuff, so much free marketing content. We have an epic marketing guide on our website that is basically like 10,000 words of everything I did in the Get Your Next Client Masterclass. But there's just a different energy when people pay for something that's just like a little checkbox that like, this is important to me. And ultimately, and you know this, Erica, like more than anything, like I want people to create the outcomes that they really, truly want. And any little things I can do to nudge them along, I'm all about. So that Get Your Next Client Masterclass, having a small price tag attached to it wasn't, you know, in online marketing, they call it like a tripwire or a self-liquidating offer, like something that a small price thing that people would run ads to pay for the cost of the ads and make it budget neutral. That is not at all how I think about stuff like that. I'm thinking about it as, how can I get you to just take the smallest step to commit to what you say you really want, and then just take one step closer and one step closer? Because if marketing is like what you struggle with and putting yourself out there, like one, once you learn our way, you'll be like, oh my gosh, this is so easy. But then two, once you crack the code on like just knowing that you know how to get clients no matter what, you stop undercharging because you're not afraid anymore. You stop over delivering because you're not afraid anymore of losing all your clients. And it's so freeing when you have that belief at your core that I know how to get clients. And if that's a $27 transaction between you and me, cool. If that makes you actually listen to it and hear what I have to say, then I hope that you would think that it's worth it. So I thought it was a super fun experiment, and I'll totally keep offering that and do it again.
I love that. In talking about, you were saying the piece about, you know, them paying it, basically they've got a little bit of skin in the game. Maybe they're more committed that way. It just also kind of brings to mind, you hear a lot of advice on social media or wherever that people who are getting started, you know, should do work for free, or if they're having trouble finding clients, doing work for free and stuff like that. And it kind of brings that to mind as well. And something that we coach on in the program is like, you could get paid for your work, like get paid for your work. And what's to say that if you do free work for, I don't know, I have a lot of thoughts about doing free work for people and that not necessarily turning out well for either party if there's no real commitment behind it. So that's what that brought to mind.
Oh my gosh, free work. That's a whole podcast in and of itself.
It is.
But I think that one of the things that, like, free work for a business model like the Web Designer Academy, right? When I create free content, free challenges, free trainings, free workshops, it's one to many. And so my time is multiplied. And the cost benefit to someone like me who isn't selling one-to-one web design services for me to do a free training for multiple people, at least 25, sometimes 250. It just all depends on what the thing is. It's a very, very different than someone who provides one-on-one services to provide that one-on-one service to a single client in order to market their business. They're not even on the same plane. It's apples to oranges, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the way I think about that is not even about, oh, that person who I'm working, if they pay me, they're more committed to the project. And if they don't pay me, they're less. I'm thinking about it as my time is way more valuable than that. There is a cost to me beyond just what I'm not getting paid by this person. It's by what I'm not getting paid. It's like the cost of my time that I'm not spending marketing or getting paying clients. The cost of, I could be getting paid for this and I'm not. It's like you're delaying your results when you work for free. And so I don't think that's a good way to get clients, is to like, oh, if I work for this person for free and I do a really good job, then they'll spread the word about how good I am at what I do. How about you're just already good at what you do and you're allowed to charge for it right out of the gate, because it's not about you. You're not selling you. You're not selling the value of your skills. You're selling the outcome that that person can create as a result of working with you. And that has nothing to do with whether this is your first website or your 10th or your 100th. Are they going to be able to take this completed thing and go do what they want to do with their business and make money from it? So you have to completely change where you're putting the value when you're setting a price. And if you're putting it on yourself and your experience and all of the things that employers judge you on when they're hiring you and deciding what to pay you, that is a whole different paradigm and model that has nothing to do with like entrepreneurship and the value of a service. So you have got to untie those things from each other. And you also have to think about like, yeah, Shannon might do a lot of free stuff to market her business, but she's running a business coaching company, not a one-on-one service company. And so I like to make those distinctions when I do the income reports on this podcast, because as web designers, we are looking at all this online marketing going on around us, and we think we have to market our business that way too. And that's not at all the case. You don't have to market your business like I'm marketing my business unless you're selling a one-to-one group coaching program or a one-to-many group coaching program or mastermind or membership like I am. So I'll step off my soapbox on the free work now, but like that's, yeah, those are my thoughts about that.
Such good stuff. All right, so let's talk about the outflow. So that 24 whatever we made, where did it go?
It went to our salaries, mine and Erica's salaries. About $10,000 comes out of that combined for us. Erica's part-time, I'm full-time. That pays our salary. We get 2 paychecks a month on the 1st and the 15th, or the 15th and the 30th. I can't remember exactly how that flows. And all the payroll taxes that I pay to the state of Ohio, the state of Texas, where Erica lives, the federal government, all of that all comes out of that $10,000. So we're W-2 employees of the company. And then on top of that, I pay into my 401k as an owner draw on top of that $10,000. So like whatever the maximum you can contribute to a 401, I think it's like $600 a month that I pay into that. And then all of our marketing expenses, that's like, so our salaries for our brilliant brains, Erica, are our biggest expense. And then marketing is our next biggest expense. And right now, I think it was about 6,000. I need to pull up the exact numbers, which we'll talk about me knowing exact numbers here in this episode as well. So we have some extra marketing expenses because we're in the middle of our Web Designer Academy brand refresh, which is so dreamy. It makes me so happy. I can't even. We're working on the website right now and kind of I would say we built a new house. We didn't tear down an old house. Yeah. We like built a new house, designed it, painted it, Right now I'm decorating, which is super fun. I'm putting all the content in all the right places of a house that's like already painted and designed, which is super fun. So we have some additional expenses related to branding, which I'm working with Erica's company, Riot Creative Studio. That's outside of her employment here at the Web Designer Academy. And she's our creative director, graphic designer, brand strategist. Our marketing outflow is planned to be higher because I made a strategic and deliberate investment in the brand refresh project and hiring Lee's company, Zainatane Consulting, to not only do the same conversion rate optimization services that they've been doing, which is a lot of like data analysis and making recommendations for experiments and things we can try, but also like they have really strategically re-engineered our customer journey based on the data that we have collected over the past 18 months about how people find us, where they go when they find us, what they do as they engage with us, and how they consume our content, and what paths people take from finding us to becoming a Web Designer Academy member or Next Level Mastermind member or a Marketing Momentum member. And so together, the three of us, me, Erica, and Lee, plus our teams and other incredible smart humans that have come in and will come in the future to support us with this project, are tearing down our old customer journey and rebuilding it, not just based on data, but based on like our core values and our brand values and how we want people to feel when they meet us, and, you know, all of our values. So it's such a fun project. And we started this back in January, and it's going to take an entire 12 months to put all of the finishing touches on this. And I can't believe it's already June. We're recording May's income report in June. And we're at the most fun part of the project for me, which is like building the website. And I was telling Erica before we hit record that one of the reasons why we embarked upon this brand refresh project is because one of the bottlenecks in the business was our current brand and design, and how hard it was to just do experiments on the fly or make changes or implement new ideas, because there really wasn't a system. I didn't think through any kind of system when I put that together. I have 4 or 5 years just been like winging it and building things I need as I go without any real thought to any of it, right? It's just like, I need to get this out there. Let me put something together. All I care about is getting an opt-in form and emails in your inbox, and we'll go from there. And that worked until it stopped working, and then it started getting in the way. And we have a page on our website all about the brand refresh and a case study, and you can kind of get into the nitty gritty with me and Erica and go behind the scenes of our core values and our program and like why we've done all of this. But since that case study has been completed and I've actually been implementing the work that we have done, I'm like, oh my gosh, everything is like 75% faster than it used to be. I'm able to complete something in an hour that used to take me a day. And so when you strategically, like when you think about as a designer listening to this, the value of what you do for your clients, you probably don't even realize the massive time savings, the impact that you can have on that, which is just allowing us to make faster decisions, implement experiments quicker. I get to spend my time doing different things. And so I am seeing the biggest shift ever. Like our emails are written 2 months ahead. And that's because I didn't have to spend a week on a presentation. I was able to get that done in a day. And I'm just seeing the path ahead clearing and clearing and clearing to give me space and capacity to do the other revenue generating activities that I know work for us. So all of that to say that marketing line item is so important to me, worth every penny. And I cannot wait to see how this affects. It's already affecting the revenue line, like the inflow. It's already affecting that. I would not have been able to just spin up a Get Your Next Client masterclass as quickly as I did and still do all of the other things that we did in May and still feel like I didn't work that much.
Yeah, right. That's the like key piece. And you said all that so beautifully. I'm gonna have to like clip that for the case study.
Just put this whole episode in the case study. Yeah.
And you said it, right? There is really something to be said about like, I've just got to do this. I've just got to get these things out there. I've just got to do this quickly and kind of bootstrap it and DIY it and duct tape it and all of the other sort of ways we describe sort of DIYing branding. Because, and not like I'm a huge proponent of like, there is a time in business when you don't need to get professional branding. Like just put something out there, get your stuff started.
And to interrupt you, that way has made me over $1 million,
exactly.
like 1.5, like, so it's not like that can't like.
Exactly.
I am not mad at that at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like that, there is a time and a place for what I call a brand system. And like you said, it works until it doesn't, right? Like what you're doing, it works until it then starts to get in the way. And it's like, okay, this is now a new obstacle that wasn't necessarily an obstacle before, or at least as much of a priority of an obstacle. And now it's like, okay, now we see how it's getting in the way of the needle moving work in terms of time and revenue. So like, let's now address it when there's kind of like a customer journey and a pipeline in place, and all of those things are already kind of secured.
So I think that, I always say the work that we do is so much more valuable. Like the outcomes our clients can create. Like I say those things. You guys hear me say them on the podcast. The value is in the outcome that your client can create, not even in the deliverable that you give them. Like, yes, Erica gave me the most amazing branding. It makes me happy to look at it. Like I'm delighted when I'm doing things with it. I feel proud when I look at it. That's not the value of it. Yes, it makes me feel some type of way, but that's not even the value of it. The value is in over the next 6 months when we talk about our inflow. Like this project that we've invested in is going to help me create 10, 20, 30 times more over its lifetime than the investment that I made to have it done. And I love that you call it a brand system, Erica. That's your like trademark way of talking about this, because if you're a graphic designer or a brand strategist and you're really thinking about the brand from the perspective of how do I want my clients' customers to feel and what's all of those things, those are all massively, massively important. But also I've had experiences in the past going through a branding process like that. And the outcome of it was amazing. I loved it. It was a vibe. I felt so aligned with it. And then when I went to implement it, it was like it didn't work across all of the different mediums that I needed it to work. It didn't work on my website and in emails and in social and in presentation slides. It just wasn't designed to do that. And I didn't know I needed that in hindsight, right? Like you could be like, oh, I should have known I needed that, but I didn't know. I just assumed it would be delivered to me that way. So I didn't ask the questions. And so I know when Eric and I talked, I was like, what's really important to me, aside from this looking amazing and making our clients feel seen and whatever, is that it is operational and functional for me to implement. And I love that. And you were just like, oh, of course, like that's a given. And I was just like, but it's not a given. And that's what I wanted to say is like, you all might think that it's a given, or you might not be thinking about it in that way. And if you haven't been, that's okay. Don't feel bad about that at all. But it is a big deal to your clients. unless you're providing that ongoing service where you're going to operationalize it and implement it for them, which amazing. Please do that. Get paid really well for it. It's just, I want you to think completely differently about the value of what you do for your clients. And I love that I'm viscerally experiencing it right now from that other side of it, rather than like the side of like the person providing the service.
Yeah, I love that. And that's so good. And I do want to say that I think it is part of the brand system process is that implementation piece, because a lot of times what happens is, let's say that you wanted a new brand, but you weren't interested in ongoing services. A lot of times what will happen is that brand is created and it's created to strategy and all of those things. And we can optimize it as much as possible, like in that initial intensive, but almost always there's in that initial sort of implementation of that brand, there are going to be some gaps. It's going to be like, oh, I need a different, like I need a lighter color for like a background in X place. And like we're still finding that kind of stuff. And we've been implementing it for 3 months now. It's just part of the process, because you can't, like the person who is creating the brand for you cannot possibly like anticipate all of the things that might be possible. And so I think that it's such an important way of thinking early on as a designer, making offers for branding so that you can educate your clients on like, this is why, like we can create this for you and it's going to be beautiful. And it's best if we can continue helping you implement so that we can continue sort of crafting these rules that go along with, because like brand guidelines, it's an ever evolving document. As your business grows, the rules are going to grow, the rules are going to change, and like not necessarily change in like a foundational way, but change in terms of, oh, we realized that, you know, instead of X, we need to go after Y. And so because of that, you know, we need to do it this way or whatever. And so I do think that it is just an important conversation to have about how ongoing support is really, that's where the changes and the transformation really is. It's not so much like in the initial system itself, it's in the support that is ongoing that allows for back and forth conversation and like, here's why we're doing it this way. Oh, you're trying to do X. Well, here's what we can do with the brand system to create X or whatever. So yeah, I do think it is a little bit of an ongoing partnership that allows that real needle moving work due to the branding, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And it's recurring revenue for the designer in that regard. So you'll hear me say every single month in this income report that part of my marketing expense is that monthly payment to Riot Creative Studio for this work. And it's one of those things like, yeah, it's a monthly outflow for me and it's a monthly inflow for Erica. And so it works really well. And so if you're like super intrigued and you're like, what is a brand system? And what is like the nitty gritty of this brand reveal, and what did we change and why did we change it and what worked and what didn't? We're getting into all of that at a workshop in July. So you could go to webdesigneracademy.com/reveal to join us for that live. We'll have some like fun giveaways and things for you at that workshop as we celebrate our rolling out our brand refresh. And also we'll tell you more about how you can learn from Erica to implement the brand system process in your own business. So go to webdesigneracademy.com/reveal. You could join us live, or if it's past this time, when you are past July, when you're listening to this, you can still go to that link and get your hands on the replay for that. We're going to be diving super deep into that even more. So back to our outflow.
Yeah.
Back to outflow. Then we just have the rest of that as like the tools and stuff that we use to run our business. We have so many different like software subscriptions, like things that we do to operate our business and provide access to all of our courses, trainings, memberships, mentorships, programs online. So that's about $2,000. And then we just have like our normal general operating expenses, business insurance, legal service. And we don't have any legal outflow, but if we did, legal, accounting, and office supplies, like just all these little things. And so that is all what came together for the 22,464. And then we're also engaging Zainitain Consulting to do a lot of the legwork for the redesign in terms of like the logistics of rebranding a website and cleaning up content and like all of that stuff. So, because I was like, if I have to do that, like it will delay our, like, I only have so much time and it can either be spent behind the scenes cleaning up stuff, which I do love to do. Not going to lie. I love a big, messy migration project. It's my favorite thing, but I intentionally have to keep myself out of it. I'm not a designer, but I'm definitely like, ooh, how can I automate migration of this thing that there's no tool for? Let me come up with that. And I love that kind of problem solving, but it's not a revenue generating activity for the business for me to be doing that. Weird as that sounds, but I'm sure a lot of you listening can relate. That is a fun project for me that I used to get paid lots and lots of money to do for other people. So that's pretty much it for our outflow. But so we added $2,146.43 to our reserves. But another piece of outflow or another investment I made back in May was I hired, the best way I can describe her is like, she would call herself a fractional CFO, but I think that's too corporate-y for what she does. I basically hired a financial strategist to work with me to, I don't know how to say exactly what, but remember on a past, if you've listened to these income reports a couple episodes ago, I said, it's so interesting that every single month I'm like spending exactly as much as we're making. And there's got to be something there. And you've heard me say, like, I'm not saying income expense or revenue and whatever, like I'm saying inflow and outflow, like our thoughts drive our feelings, create our actions, create our results. And I have a lot of mind trashy thoughts about money in the business. And for a long time, even though I logically know that I budget, I plan, I don't spend willy-nilly, like that 22,000, not a surprise. I plan to spend all of that money, right? It's not like it just happened. I project our expenses. I project our revenue. I know what's contracted to come in with payment plans and all of that. But yet every single month I'm like, but what if this is the month that it all falls apart? There's always this like shoe. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, for lack of a better term. So I met Jen Boss at Alicia St. Germain's retreat in November. She was there. She is a CPA. She doesn't do tax planning, but she does financial planning. And first day, complete stranger, just getting to know each other. And then the more I hear her talk about her and her business and what she does, I'm like, that's kind of what the missing piece has been, because I am not a creative director, graphic designer. Erica is. She's better at that than I ever will be. Hire an expert. I am not a conversion rate optimization person. Lee is. She nerds out on data in a way that I could never even get interested in. Like, I think she loves migrations too, but I love migrations the way she loves data. Sarah Gio, copywriting. I can write copy, but not like Sarah can. And Jen Boss, I can do numbers and I can do my business finances, but I don't think about it the way that Jen thinks about it. And so I was like, why is this the last thing that I am holding as I have to do this all on my own without any help or support? And so my biz bestie, Alicia St. Germain, was like, I hired Jen. I'm working with her. It's so amazing. You should do it too. And I'm just like, okay, Alicia, I'm good. I have a handle on my numbers, right? Like I do an income report every month. It's not like I'm not looking at them. I know exactly all of this. And she was like, just talk to her. And I was like, okay, fine. So I talked to her and I'm like, oh, because she's asking me questions. And I'm like, let me open up this spreadsheet because I track this over here. And let me open up this because I track this over here. And let me do some calculations because I can get you that data, but I don't know it off the top of my head. And as we're talking, I'm like, I have all of my data spread out in all of these different places. And I don't have everything pulled into like one big picture. And I wonder why that is. I wonder why that is because Jen's a CPA, but she's also like a mindset type person too, where she's like, it's interesting that you track it all, but you don't track it all together. What's going on there? And I'm like, maybe I don't want to see it. Maybe I'm afraid of what I'll see if I see everything all in one place. And so I was like, that's the missing piece is one, seeing everything all in one place at a glance, the real story, the real picture, not just the piece I want to look at that's going to make me feel not scared or whatever. And having someone that has done this for business after business after business, like is an expert in this, to who is also like, just like I let Lee look at all of the data and say, here's some things you should try. We could try to reach our goals. To have Jen look at all of the data and be like, here are some things you could try to reach your goals. So I'll stop there. I'm curious because Erica kind of knows that this is going on, but I didn't really get a chance to like talk to you to tell you like, oh, hey, guess what? I hired this girl. We're doing this. I showed her the spreadsheet that we put together the other day. And I'll be like, oh, we'll dig more into this like on the podcast. So this is kind of like team meeting / podcast. So yeah, ask me any questions.
Yeah, no, I'm just so curious. Like, I mean, obviously we know if she's in Alicia's corner, like she's incredible people. But I'm just so curious how you went into this feeling and then walked away from this feeling.
Yeah. So one thing that I have noticed is when I'm like, I already know this, I don't need that. That means I absolutely do need that. And I'm trying to protect myself from something. So that's like a sign when I'm like, I already know that. If someone's telling me you should do this, I'm like, no, I shouldn't. I'm good.
I shouldn't.
It actually means I should. So there's some self-protective behavior going on. So the first thing that she does is she goes through this visioning process where she gave me a document with all of these questions and she wanted to know like my why, like why do I do what I do? And how do I want that to impact my life today, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? Because she makes her recommendations based on those things. And so, you know me and my morning coffee thoughts, like it's like something I'm doing at like 6 a.m. with my first cup of coffee when all of my ideas come and the house is quiet. And I just fill out this vision document and I need to even look at it. I don't even remember what I said, but I just remember thinking like, I'm in such a good place where I've created a business that doesn't feel like work to me. And if I could feel confident about our business finances, I feel like that is such a big place that I leak capacity. And I don't realize that because there's always this undercurrent of the shoe is going to drop. This is going to be the month that it all falls apart. And I don't even realize that that is going on, it causes me to make decisions that I don't realize I'm making from that place. I think I'm making those decisions to solve other problems, but really it's like trying to come from, oh, if I could just make a big enough influx of cash in one fell swoop, then I won't feel this way anymore. And so I'll maybe try to launch something new or like whatever but as you and Lee know, I can talk myself into anything, right? But now I've like peeled back a layer of like, oh, that has been driving some of these things that I have talked to myself or tried to talk myself into, that now that it's revealed, I can like kind of set that down or slow down or analyze those decisions in a different way from a different place. So that's really like my vision was. I'm already so fortunate and lucky that this does not feel like a job and that I get to wake up and do this every single day. Even the stuff that people find annoying, I find delightful. Like, you know. And the other piece of it was, I was like, I'm okay if we just break even this year because I see what's in store for next year after everything that we will have implemented this year. And then I don't even remember what I said for 3 to 5 years. I'll have to look and maybe talk about it on a future podcast episode. But really, I see just us growing the way that I've envisioned this whole time. And I think the changes that we're making with the branding and everything are setting that foundation. So that was the first part, was like the visioning and giving her details about like the business and the team and who we like, the subcontractors and the employees, and just like the whole picture of everything. And then the second part was like giving her all of the data. And so that was like another time where I was like, oh my gosh, I had this in 17 different places. And I'm like, and she's telling me that her system is going to just like show me one spreadsheet with everything, and like I'll understand what it all means and what a life this is, right? Yeah. So I gave her all the data and she's like, so what I'm going to do is after I get all your data and I have your vision and I know everything, and we met, she asked me clarifying questions, and she's like, I'm going to go away and I'm going to put together what does she call it? I'll open it so I can even tell you. It's just it's a budget, 2025 budget, nothing fancy, but it's our actual and our projected revenue. And so when you're like, how did you feel after? She's like, so once I pull in all of the data that you give me, then we'll talk about it and we'll make some decisions going forward. And I was like, that's where I was like, what decisions are you going to ask me to make? And I was like, when I felt that way, I was like, okay, I know I need this, because that's what I've been avoiding, is that if I keep all the data spread out everywhere and I don't see the full picture, then maybe I don't have to make a decision that's going to feel tough to make. Yeah. And so I mentioned this in a previous podcast episode, but when we were at the retreat, I asked her, because she's worked with so many businesses, and we were talking, I can't remember what we were even talking about, but we had a whole day on money mindset at that retreat, and it was amazing. So of course we're all asking like, Jen, what about this? What about this? And I was like, so Jen, for all of the clients you've ever worked with, and she was talking about how she's helped a lot of businesses like turn their finances around. I was like, have you ever had a business that just couldn't turn it around? Like they were just too far gone and they couldn't do what they needed to do. And she was like, only once. And I was like, what was it? Why did that happen? She was like, they just weren't willing to see anything differently than they couldn't hear what I was telling, and they weren't willing to make the changes that they needed to make. And I was like, okay, well, I know that's not me. So, And so I was like open to anything that she was going to tell me. And so we met a couple weeks ago and she was like, okay, here's your plan. And she was like, laid it out. She was like, you're on track to break even this year. And if you want to hit this bigger goal, you just have to add 6,000 a month in revenue. We'll start playing around with different ways that you could do that. And I was just like, I felt like the weight of the world lift off of me.
That's amazing.
I'm getting emotional just thinking about it now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was just like, okay, that thing that I've been carrying that's so heavy, it was never even real. So that's cool. But also, it was just like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was just like, okay, I didn't screw it up that bad. Like with everything that, all of the challenges that we experienced in like 2023 and stuff, I'm like, okay, so I didn't screw it up that bad. And like, we're in a good position. We're going to break even again. Yes, I want to grow. Of course, I want to grow. But breaking even when we're both getting paid is a fantastic place to be.
Like, for sure.
We're both getting our paychecks. And so that was just where I was just like, okay. And that accounted for all of our future projected expenses with the work with Riot and with Lee. And I'm just like, and I had done that math, I had. And so it's not like I hadn't, but I'm also just like, I'm the only one carrying all of this. And for someone else to come in and validate my decisions and show me not even a new way of thinking, but kind of, I just felt like I was sharing the load. It felt like when the Stripe hack happened, episode 47, if anyone wants to go listen to it. And it was like so stressful. And then I hired an attorney, Ann Capuzza from Powerhouse Legal Strategy. And she was like, you don't need to worry about this anymore. I've got you. She was like, just relax. I'll handle it. It's taken care of. Jen didn't say those words to me, but that's literally how I felt about that situation. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, okay. I felt whatever that heaviness is like not a part of the thought process anymore. It's not a part of the conversation. It's not secretly influencing decisions. It's like gone. And I'm like, what a gift to give myself to hire someone to just guide me and be that sounding board for that piece. And so, I mean, no one can predict the future, right?
Yeah.
We have projected revenue coming in. Whatever, like things can change on a dime, but I won't be so worried that like I don't know, like that I caused it or that like we said at the beginning of this episode, that I've made wrong decisions, right? She's very much like, everything's nuanced. We'll make decisions based on your goals and outcomes. We'll get new data. We'll make different decisions based on the data. We'll experiment here. And that's all guided by the values and vision that I shared with her about what's important to me when it comes to how this business is run and structured. And so that was like all the people I've hired. It's like the best money that, like, I love spending that money. I don't know. So that's the other thing that happened in May that was like life-changing.
Literally the biggest thing ever. I mean, talk about the gift that's going to keep on giving.
Yeah.
Like that, you talk about the capacity that weight was just like taking from you.
I didn't even know until it was gone.
Yeah. And I know that that's so real. And like, this, like I have high anxiety and OCD. And so like sometimes those magical thinking sort of scenarios get the best of me. And the thing that you said was the thing that I was so worried about wasn't even real. And what I would like to say is like, it might not have been real in the sense of like, actually in your numbers, it was going to happen. But what we know about brain science is that when you're imagining those things, your body truly does believe that it's real. So it was very, very real for you and for your brain. And I mean, if you've been carrying that since 2023, that is a long time to carry that weight and to kind of carry it alone, maybe because you didn't know it was there, and maybe because you didn't really want to talk about it anyway, because then you would have to like go through all the things that come up when you have to talk about those things, And so I think that there's just a lot to say for like the outside view looking in, and like how we can get so blinded by our own experience and by our own vision. And it's just so important to bring outside people in to like go through things, because they can just help you take your blinders off.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I think about too, it's like, yeah, so I don't talk about the heaviness or the worry that I feel. I knew it was there, but I'm also the CEO of a company with employees. I don't ever want you as my team member to worry about something that, like, for example, yesterday, my husband was out working in the yard and he saw a snake and he is like terrified of snakes. He has nightmares about them. They give him panic attacks.
No.
Like, it's just like the worst thing. So he sees a snake. He comes in. He was like, I don't think I can ever go outside in our yard again. And I was like, whatever you want to do, I'll finish the mulching. We'll hire someone. We don't need to get it done today. It's fine. Because I understand like the depth of this problem for him. And just like you said, he's like, I know that it won't hurt me. I understand that. And I said, I know you logically know that. I was like, but your brain doesn't know that. And that's why you are feeling like this type of way. And so I logically know that when I'm looking at our numbers and I'm looking at our projections and I'm looking at all of this, logically, I know the maths.
Yeah.
But that primal fear, I'm not going to ever, as much as I can possibly hide it, be like, hey, team members, I'm afraid that it's all going to fall apart tomorrow. Because that's part of like, not stuffing it down as part of being a leader. That's not what I mean. Part of being a leader is I get to hire people to manage the places where I know that I need support so that I can be a good leader for the team, our students, our contractors, and everything. Because if I'm constantly walking around making everyone feel like I feel, like, oh, I'm just one wrong move away from blowing this whole thing up, like, who wants to work for a company like that? It would be hard. And I know it does seep out from time to time. And you're always so good at helping reel me back in when it does come out. And I'm sure it'll come up again. But at the same time, I'm just like, to have that support for me so that I can set that down and do what we're all here to do. You've worked for this company for 3 years. It's just as much you believe in everything and what we do and our student results, like, as much as I do. And it's just like, I don't know. I just feel like it's a gift that I gave both of us.
Yeah.
And all of our students and all of that. So Jen, if you're listening to this, huge impact.
Shout out.
In just 2 1-hour conversations. And that's the kind of value that we all can have on someone else when we stop making it about deliverables.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a question. I think months ago that you said this, you were with your people at the Agents of Change meeting, and one of them mentioned to you carrying around a bucket of doom.
Yes.
Do
Phyllis,
you,
our podcast producer.
do you feel like that was the sort of maybe last piece of setting down the bucket of doom?
Oh my gosh. That's such a good point. Yes.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yes. Yes.
Amazing. How freeing.
It is so freeing. It is so freeing. And I shared this with Erica and with Lee at our last meeting about like our strategy, like that everything we're doing. And I was like, and guys, like I have this spreadsheet now. So when you're asking me what my goals are, I can just like give you our financials and we can play around with the different possibilities of like what levers to pull to create this and where to focus and all of those things. And it sounds so simple when I say it out loud, but it is a little more complex. We have a lot of different offers. They take different levels of effort to promote and execute and sell and enroll. And I'm really starting to see all of that kind of like come together in a really predictable way, which has been very elusive up until now because I haven't been willing to look at the big picture because I've been afraid of seeing the snake.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. And the snake was never there.
The snake was never there. And even if it was there, was it going to hurt me?
Exactly. That's just so good. And I think, well, I talk all the time about how I feel like going into business is, I'm a huge proponent of therapy, but I feel like going into business is like one of the most, like, you are going to work on yourself so much when you choose to go into business, like even maybe more so in therapy. And I feel like that is just such a prime example of like how, I don't know, I can't remember when the buckets of doom conversation happened, but that phrase like really stuck with you, and that conversation was impactful. And like here we are, however many months later, and like the bucket of doom is back there now. Like you set it down and you're like moving forward. And so I just want to commend you for like being willing to do that work and do the hard things that allow you to like move forward and lead this company with such grace. And
Well, thank you. I appreciate that so much. And I'm sure there's other things in that bucket that I don't know are in there. And I might accidentally pick it up again. But the goal is always to notice you're carrying it faster than you did the time before and to set it down sooner and to like just to notice those things faster. I'm like, oh, I'm seeing my patterns. Like when I get defensive, that's when it's a telltale sign that I have something inward to look at and let go. So, Erica, this was such a good conversation.
So good.
Is there anything else we needed to talk about in terms of our May 2025 income report?
Do you have any things that you feel like you learned that you want to share, or breakthroughs and realizations maybe that you haven't already shared?
I was thinking about the 6 people that either stepped up into the next level or joined the Web Designer Academy and our new open house model, for lack of a better term, that like I didn't learn that strategy from anyone else. It wasn't something I heard on a podcast or read in a book or that someone else is using as a sales tactic. I was just inspired to just like, we've been talking about our brand as like a third space and a place where people can just come and hang out and whatever. And I'm like, why don't I just open the doors, the virtual doors, to something that we do every single week for people who are considering joining our program, instead of like sending them through this traditional sales funnel, to be like, if you're thinking about it, like just come on in and see what's up. And the feedback that we have gotten from people is that they so appreciate having that experience in helping them make their decision. And that's how I want them to feel, regardless of which path they choose, they ultimately choose. And so, yeah, I think that's the other thing that, like, April, we really experimented with it. May, I'm like, I love this. And we've gotten to meet a lot of cool people. And I just want to make it easier for people to say yes to what they really want. And so it's just been the open house experiment, I would say, has been a success. And so, what do you have to add? You've attended those and like been on the little, so the way it works is that people will come to our live strategy call and they'll just sit in on it. And then afterwards, Eric and I will just give them a program tour and answer whatever questions they might have about working with us. And that's it. And then if they want to join, they do. And if they don't, they don't. And I mean, we're unattached in terms of we don't need them to join, but we're like, we're meeting so many cool people.
So many cool people. I actually really love it. Obviously, like, we're getting to meet really cool people, like you're saying. But for the ones that join, they already know me. Before, we had never interacted, and I would like send over their welcome video and roadmap. And it was like, hey, you don't know me yet, but blah, 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 blah. And now it's like, hey, I'm so excited that you said yes, and like genuine excitement. That's not just something I say. And they already know my voice. They like, we've kind of already talked about some things, so I can kind of mention whatever it is that maybe they brought up on the call, like if they had a specific concern, and we're already addressing it within their roadmap video. So I have really, really loved that aspect, because I don't feel like before, I felt like there was just a tiny disconnect from them joining to then like being welcomed by me and like, who is this girl? And now that I don't feel like that's the case, and not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but I feel like it just adds another level of, I don't know, we've got a lot of compliments on like our onboarding process and how people just really feel taken care of. And I feel like that adds to it. So
I love that you mentioned that. I hadn't even considered that aspect of, it's just one more way that people, that we're all about like connection and relationships. And we're not just like, oh, come join and you're never going to see us or hear from us ever again. And yeah, I guess I didn't even think about how it could help you, because I do all the sales conversations, right? When I say sales conversations, it's just like answering people's questions and giving them information. And maybe it's me going back and forth. And then when they join, I'm like, okay, and Erica's going to onboard you and get to know her because you're going to work with her and me. And I never really thought about like what you might be missing out on in terms of building that relationship before they've decided to join. Like now it just, I don't know. It's just like, it's our brand, our whole brand that we've spent so much time on is just coming to life in so many different ways. And that's just one of the ways.
Yes, exactly. Like I said, I don't think there was anything wrong with the way that it was before. It's just
you didn't know what you were missing until now.
Yeah. And it is our brand brought to life. We are the embodiment of that. And so that it's just another through line. And I think that people always appreciate it. It's just another level of safety that they feel. So yeah, I love it. I think it was such a good move.
Well, if you're listening to this and you want to come to an open house, we do them almost every week. So just go to webdesigneracademy.com/open house, get all of the details. You get the date for our next one. There's a little form you can fill out and to request an invitation. I'll review that, give you some feedback. And if it's a good fit, we'll invite you to come sit in on that call and do a zero pressure program tour with me and Erica. And it's always just really fun for us. So I think that's the only other thing that I wanted to talk about in this episode. So That's all I got.
Awesome. I was just thinking about the last thing that I wanted to say was I want to go back to the bucket of doom for just a second, because I think a lot of us carry around a bucket of doom. I know I do. And this was like maybe 2 weeks ago. I brought it to Shannon in one of our calls, and she totally called me out on it. And it was necessary. Like, I needed it, but it was like instant tears because my body just had like a visceral reaction, because kind of like what you were saying, I didn't even know it was there. Like, I didn't really realize that's what was happening. And so I just wanted to say, if you feel like you're carrying around a bucket of doom, that's part of what Shannon does as well, is like help us realize that it's there and then work on putting it down, but not just in the way of like, okay, put it down, you're done. But it's like, how do we safely figure out like how to move through business while kind of dealing with this stuff and like dismantling some of the beliefs that have filled up this bucket, because it's not something, I don't believe it's something that can be done on your own. And so, yeah, I just wanted to like call that out, that like just Phyllis called that out in you and you were able to put that down. You called that out in me, and I am working on putting that down. And that's going to be the biggest gift that I'm able to give myself in order to like move forward in my business, because it is also the area where I am losing the most capacity. And so if it was true for you and it's true for me, I imagine it's true for a whole lot of people listening too. Yeah. So come set down your bucket of doom.
Oh my gosh, so good. And shout out to Phyllis's podcast. She talks about the bucket of doom in her podcast. It's called Your Daily Dose of Hope. You can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. They're 5-minute episodes every single day. Phyllis has an amazing voice, but her podcasts are so good. So you can listen to that. And one of the early episodes is all about the bucket of doom. And the last thing I'll say about that, and then we'll wrap up, is like, we're carrying it because we think that it protects us in some way. And so it's not that we're an Eeyore or a negative person or whatever. It's like, we think that carrying this, that maybe there's some things in that bucket that are useful to us. And it's illusion that the things in that bucket are useful. And so Phyllis talks about setting down that bucket of doom and picking up a bucket of hope instead. And so definitely go check out her podcast. It's amazing. So Erica, I love these conversations with you. Likewise. Thank you so much for being part of the monthly income report episodes. That's all we have for you this week. So we'll see you all back here next week for our next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, so before you go, quick question for you. Have you been listening to the podcast for a while and are curious if the Web Designer Academy is right for you? If that sounds like you, request an invitation to our next open house, where you'll get to attend our next live strategy call and then take a tour of the program with me and get all of your questions answered. All you got to do to get your invitation is go to webdesigneracademy.com/open house, fill out a quick form telling me more about your web design business and your goals. And if it looks like I can help, I'll send you a link to join us at our next open house. Zero pressure, zero commitment, just a chance for you to check it out and see if it's the right fit. To get the date and time of our next open house and request your invitation, just go to webdesigneracademy.com/open house. That's webdesigneracademy.com/open house.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.